Hello, Happy New Year, and welcome to a pre-recorded and abbreviated version of Chuck's captivating chat. I figure a lot of you people out there have better things to be doing today. I have some things I'm doing myself. It's a rare day of rest before I plunge fully back into all my activities and workload tomorrow. I think that's going to be true for many of us here in Los Angeles, because most people who come to LA are from other parts of the country. They tend to leave at holiday time. So it's the rare time of the year where we have extremely light traffic on the road. Well, that situation is going to abruptly change, and it's usually around January 2nd, once everybody has come back and they're going back to work, and it's back to reality in La La Land. I almost wanted to open the show today with greetings from Hollywood, like they used to do in a lot of those old 1940s radio shows like Luella Parsons. This channel has been an opportunity for me to incorporate my tremendous love of old Hollywood. I sprinkle in current stuff because I know that's what most people care about, but I love the old Hollywood, and of course I love telling my Lucille Ball stories. And in 2024, I plan to make this channel really explode with a lot more videos. This has become quite a passion for me, and I'm really loving the response you're giving me, the feedback, the commentary. I feel like I'm getting to know some of you personally. Occasionally there's the troll who has a snarky little comment or something, but I was warned by other people who do their own channels. That comes with the territory. Just leave them alone and focus on the positive. So I've posted some videos. Last night I did a video about the Poseidon Adventure, the wonderful 1972 movie, which has oddly become a classic film to watch on New Year's Eve, and I guess for the obvious reason of the big countdown before the tidal wave comes and flips the ship over. As Lucille Ball used to say, I fell ass over tea kettle. Shelley Winters and all flipped over. And I was mentioning in my video that it's possible to time it at 11:35 p.m. and 26 seconds. If you start the movie at that time, you will have the midnight countdown at the right time, at the stroke of midnight, as we go into the new year. But talking about the Poseidon Adventure, it made me think about my late mother. My beautiful late mother, who bore a striking resemblance to Shelley Winters, and she was extremely proud of that. I just posted a video about it, you can see, but I told the story of how my mother used to brag about this. And, my mother had me very late in life. She was a glamorous woman back in the 1940s, and this is when Shelley herself was young and glamorous. So my mother was like, oh, really? I look like Shelley Winters? And a lot of people commented on it. I don't have the picture of Shelley here, but this is a drawing I did of my mother from that time. And trust me, there is a picture of Shelley Winters in her autobiography where she has a similar hairdo, similar smile, and the resemblance is remarkable. My mother even aged and gained weight like Shelley Winters, so it was like a lifelong resemblance. But my mother was proud of this. She passed away in 2003, and it was several years later, my dear friend Kristen Anderson, who was married to the wonderful actor David Groh, who played Joe on the Valerie Harper series Rhoda. She told me she was a good friend of Shelley Winters. Shelley Winters had been her acting coach, and they retained their friendship. And Kristen was going to Shelley's big 85th birthday party bash at her home in Beverly Hills. And I asked Kristen if she would do a very special favor for me. I got a picture of my mother looking her most Shelley Winters, and I blew it up to 8 by 10. And I gave it to Kristen, and I said, would you please take this to Shelley Winters and hand it to her and tell her the story of my mother and how proud she was that she looked like her. And Kristen reported back to me the next day. She said, yes. I handed the picture to Shelley, and Shelley saw the resemblance. And she said, now that is Shirley Shrift when she first came to Hollywood. And of course, Shirley Shrift was Shelley's real name. And she was referring to the fact that my mother was brunette and she did not have the glamour treatment that the Hollywood studios did to her. And that's what she meant. That's Shirley Shrift. So Shelley saw the resemblance and even asked Kristen if it would be possible to get my mother's phone number to give her a call. And of course, my mother had passed away a few years earlier, but oh my goodness, my mother back in our little town in Virginia having the phone ring, and there it is, Shelley Winters. Oh, how I wish I could have made that happen. But I just thought I would tell that story just the same. Basically repeated a lot of what I told in my video, but I go into a little more detail. And I was thinking, because this is the New Year's Day show, it had been suggested that I do some in memoriam pieces, which I don't know if is really necessary because those things are certainly done. Shall I use a bad pun in saying they're done to death? But there were two people that I knew personally. Now, one of them was the actor Paul Sorvino, and I acknowledge he passed away in 2022. But it was last year, 2023, at the Oscars, when they do the in memoriam piece, they didn't mention Paul at all. And I was so bothered by that, because I thought if there was ever a man who deserved to be acknowledged, it was him. He was a marvelous character actor, truly one of the finest. I used to have wonderful conversations with him. He was a very warm, gregarious man, and he took delight in talking about his career. And I had just seen the movie Reds, Warren Beatty's movie Reds, which was made in 1981, but I saw it at a screening at the Sam Goldwyn Theater at the Motion Picture Academy. It was a beautiful new print, and as luck would have it, I saw Paul the next day. Paul had a featured role in that where he played Italian-American communist Louis Frena. I hope I said that correctly. And of course, he was brilliant, and I told Paul this, and Paul told me that for inspiration for his character, he based it on, and I hope I'm saying this correctly, it was either his grandfather or his great-grandfather that he based the character on, as far as the mannerisms, the voice, and so forth from that era. That was his inspiration. It was sweet of him to tell me that. And there was another person who got left off the in memoriam list at the Oscars, and someone I also knew who passed away earlier this year. Last year, 2023. I've got to get in the habit. It's 2024 now. But I also have a video about this that I posted on my channel about the actor Tom Sizemore, another marvelous character actor. And interestingly enough, he and Paul Sorvino shared in common the fact that they both played a lot of gangsters, mobsters, mafia-type characters. Paul was very famous for his role in Goodfellas. So that was something they shared in common with each other. Tom Sizemore worked with Martin Scorsese. He worked with Steven Spielberg. At the time I knew him, it was when Saving Private Ryan had just come out in 1998. And that ended up being Tom's most famous film role, what he will probably be best known for. But when I knew Tom, there was not an ounce of pretense about him. None of this, ooh, I'm a big movie star, I work with people like Spielberg. No, he was so humble, so graciously humble. And I remember the day he came in where I was working and showed me the Los Angeles Times with the rave review for Saving Private Ryan. And of course, there was a full-page movie ad with all these superlative reviews. And there was actually talk that Tom Sizemore might have been nominated for a Best Supporting Actor Oscar. Unfortunately, that did not happen, but it was a very real possibility. His performance was excellent in the movie. As I go into in my video, Tom had a lot of personal demons. If any of you have personal experience with people with substance addictions, alcoholism, you know that it's an ongoing fight that has to be addressed daily. You know, it's not as simple as someone just being cured and going on with their life. They're constantly addressing this. So Tom had periods where he was fine and other times where he was not. And sadly, this was to the detriment of his film career. He had been once on a sure path to the Hollywood A-list. And by the 2000s, mid-2000s, best as I could determine, while he was working, the prestige of his work was less and less. He was not working with greats like Scorsese and Spielberg anymore. And I know there's tremendous controversy around Tom Sizemore, domestic abuse charges when he was with Heidi Fleiss, jail time he served for possession of drugs. You know, I'm not condoning in any way. I'm just saying that my personal experience with Tom, that's what I'm telling. My personal experience with Tom was that he was a sweet man. He was always kind to me, down to earth, generous in sharing his experiences and stories with me. I remember he told me about how he was friends with Robert De Niro and how they owned a restaurant together at one time, or at least had a partnership in a restaurant. And also it was De Niro who staged an intervention with him to get him cleaned up, to get him in the help that he needed for his addictions. But he called him Bobby De Niro. And he goes, "Oh, Chuck, don't, I'm not being pretentious or anything like that. It's just, I know Robert De Niro and I call him Bobby." That's the way Tom was. So I just wanted to acknowledge him. If there were two people I wanted to do a memoriam for, it was those two great men that I don't think got acknowledged last year like they should have. And let's see here. I said I was going to keep this show short today. Getting a little tongue-tied there. But I always include a Lucille Ball story, and I was trying to find something that pertained to New Year's Eve, and I remembered these pictures she posed for in 1934, of course, for the coming New Year of 1935. She and some other contract players at Columbia Pictures, where she was a $75 a week contract player, that, you know, the studios like to keep their actresses busy, you know, so they, you know, you came to work at the studio, whether you were making a movie or not. So they all put on these evening clothes and got all made up and everything, and did these pictures where they're holding champagne glasses and stuff, toasting in the year 1935. Well, what was interesting, very shortly after these pictures were taken, Lucy was given her pink slip. She was laid off. She was let go. She was fired from Columbia. A number of the actresses were contract players because they were just looking to save money. It was the height of the Depression. Well, Lucy took the opportunity because she always saw opportunities. She always saw open doors. And she had once been a dress model, a very good dress model for Hattie Carnegie in New York City before she came to Hollywood. So she was quite experienced and very poised naturally at what she did. And she was trying to find another job, and someone said, "Hey, didn't you used to model at Bergdorf Goodman's in New York?" And Lucy said, "Well, no, I didn't." And the person said, "Well, lie and say you did, because this casting director at RKO Studios is looking specifically for women who modeled at Bergdorf Goodman's." So Lucy interviewed with him, everything went fine. And he asked her the question about Bergdorf's, and she told the little lie. And he said, no, you didn't, because I was at Bergdorf Goodman on those times you mentioned. I never saw you once. But I tell you what, I like you, and I'm going to hire you anyway. So that's how Lucy got hired at the RKO Studios. You know, what was supposed to be a 3-month contract ended up becoming a 7-year contract. And of course, it was RKO Studios where she met Desi Arnaz when they were making the movie Too Many Girls in 1940. And that's another video I have on my channel if you ever want to check it out. I will be going back to live streams next week and longer shows. I'm looking forward to telling you a lot more stories. And I'm also looking forward to doing more interviews. We'll have some things lined up for you. So thank you so much for tuning in. I'm very grateful to all of you. Happy New Year. May 2024 hold great blessings for you. And please like and subscribe my channel, Chuck's Captivating Chronicles.